Well, I think it's time for another rousing edition of My Friend's Boat. It's a boat tour! And I know, I say it all the time, but it's true. The best part about this cruising lifestyle for us is the people we meet along the way. They're interesting, and equally as interesting are their boats. So if you've watched these videos for a while, then you've undoubtedly seen Mike and Angie in their boat Madrone. Really, they're great folks. I just can't say enough good things about them. But their boat, it's incredible. Every once in a while, a boat comes along where I get a serious case of boat envy. And this one is it. It's incredible. And it's not just because it's a really nice, well-built boat. It's because of the care and thought that went into outfitting it for long-term cruising. It's been really well done. But I think I'll just let them show you around because they know a lot more about it than I do. But I'm serious, I got a case of boat envy.
You start.
Okay. So we're Mike and Angie Zellman. We're from Portland, Oregon originally, and welcome aboard Madrone. This is our Taswell 43. She was built in Taiwan at the Tashing Boatyard in 1996. There were about 60 of this hull built. They also built a couple of bigger models. This is the smallest in the Taswell family. We bought the boat about seven years ago, and we've for the first 4 or 5 years we cruised in the summer, but we were still working more or less full time. And for the past 2 years or so, we've been cruising full time. So we've taken the boat up to Alaska and back, spent a fair bit of time in BC. We've been out to Hawaii and sailed back, and now we're happy to be down here in Mexico.
We have 2 heads on board. This is the forwardmost head, so it's the guest head. It's nice. We like having 2 heads on board because when one head breaks, the other one we can use. So, and everything breaks on the boat. Not our boat, only just boats in general. This boat didn't originally come with a bow thruster, but the gentleman that owned it before us installed a bow thruster, and so that is located down here. Some people think it's cheating, and we kind of thought it was cheating to begin with as well, but it turns out that it's kind of handy to have, especially when we're pulling into a dock and there's a lot of wind or current. So it's just like having an extra crew member. So it's cheating, but we like it. Just aft of the head is the guest cabin, and it's Pullman berth, and we use it primarily as our garage. So we store our spinnaker, we've got some inflatable stand-up paddle boards, and various whatnot. So when we have friends or family come aboard, we move all this, and then we put it back, and then we move all it, and we put it back. But it's nice because we have a good area. And it's pretty cool because our spinnaker lives here, and we can actually open this hatch here and send it out, so we don't have to like shuffle it around or bring it on deck, so we can just send it straight through there. Under the berth there's some storage, and then we've got good drawers, got a hanging locker. One of the things that we really like about the boat, the Tashing yard did a really amazing job with all the woodwork, so we really like we have all these louvered doors, and it looks nice. The boat was really lightly used before we bought it, and so we've been really lucky because it came in really good shape. So this is the main salon. The majority of the Taswells have a different layout than this. This is one of the later models. So most of them have this like super C-circle berth that is big, and they don't have this second settee on this side. Instead they have a nav station. So we really like the layout. I think it opens it up a bit more, and we can remove this, and this is a good sea berth, so we've got a lee cloth that we can put in here. It actually is, Mike can fit there, so it's big enough. I can obviously fit there. Go and find the watermaker and the lee cloth. Nothing is simple on a boat. There it is. This thing's cool. We didn't install it until before Hawaii. All the years that we cruised in the Northwest, there was always water to be had, so that was not a problem. But it's really nice. I mean, we could do without it, but it makes life a lot more simple that we don't have to go in and find drinking water. So we make about 8 gallons an hour.
And it's all DC.
It's all DC.
Cool.
Yep, it runs completely off our batteries. So and we have 3 tanks, 3 water tanks, about 40 gallons each. So we have about 120 gallons of water. This is a Galley. I love the Galley. It's kind of my size Galley. It's maybe a little bit too small for Mike, but it's perfect for me. It's also a really good offshore Galley because it's kind of small. So when you're, depending upon what tack you're on, you can brace yourself, and which was really important, especially when we were going to and from Hawaii. And so I liked the Galley to begin with, but then after being on passage for a while, it turns out that it's fabulous. So yeah, so we've got a stove and an oven. We have a freezer and a fridge. The fridge is top loading and front loading, which is really, really handy. We were on another Taswell, it was only top loading, and I don't know how I would ever get anything from the bottom without like diving in. So that's great. Both of our fridge and freezer are 12 volt. They run off of our batteries, and they work really well. So we've got the like keel coolers, heat exchangers, and they keep the temperature pretty dialed in. When we installed this refrigeration, we also installed some more insulation, which really helped as well. So they've been really good, knock on wood. Moving on, we have our nav station, which could put paper charts here, but we are not of the paper chart generation. We recently installed some new electronics, which is nice, and they've got these cool displays, and you can choose all sorts of different things with it, so we like that. We also have that in the cockpit as well. This is our engine room, and we have a fabulous Yanmar, 63 horsepower, and it's turbocharged, but this is a great engine. We've been really, really happy. I think we're Yanmar people. So when we bought the boat, as I mentioned, it was really lightly used, and so the engine only had 250 hours on it. And so now she has 2,000, about 2,000. So yeah, it's been really reliable, and we've been really happy with it. The other thing that's really cool about this boat is that it has fabulous access to the engine room. So here we have access. We also can remove these stairs and get in here in the front. We have access on the side and then through our shower as well. It's fabulous. So this is another area that we can access the engine. It nearly has standing headroom for me. We don't have a generator on board, and so if we had a generator, generally they're like right here. So since we don't, it makes the access even better, and instead of having a generator, we have a lot of solar on board. Here are our refrigeration compressors, fridge and freezer. We also have some watermaker bits and pieces in here as well. This is I don't know, for me and Mike, we really wanted a center cockpit so that we could have this fabulous aft cabin. And so it's a queen size centerline berth. We actually got an actual mattress, which is nice. After sleeping on foam for a long time, it was time to get a real person's mattress. So the other thing that's cool about it is that it articulates, or you can fold it in half the way it's made so that we can get underneath. And under there we have our part of our autopilot. We want to look at the rudder. We also have a Ishbar heater, diesel heater, and so which we don't use here, though we do run it once a month to keep it happy. But we used it a lot up in the Pacific Northwest, but that's all under here as well, so it was nice to have a bed that we can fold in half and we can get underneath. This is also where our fuel tank is, our diesel tank, so that's right here. And then finally, we have the aft head, or the main head. So we have a shower with a shower door, which is quite nice. And then the other thing that was nice is when we were in the Northwest and there was a lot of foul weather gear, I could hang it up in here so it would dry out. more or less. So, yep. So, just ahead.
Madrone is a center cockpit boat as opposed to an aft cockpit. One of the things that we've learned about boats is that everything is a compromise. And so with a center cockpit, what you give up is a little bit of size of the cockpit. For a 43-foot boat, this cockpit's not the biggest. You give up a little bit of deck storage as well because there are no lazarettes in the cockpit. Everything down below the cockpit is dedicated to the inside of the boat. But the benefit that you get with the center cockpit is a big, beautiful aft cabin. You get great access to the engine and a large engine room. And then you also get kind of a feeling of security when you're sailing out in the open ocean because you're located in the middle of the boat. You have deck all the way around you on all four sides, and it's a good feeling to be a little bit further from the water when the weather picks up.
I mean, it's kind of nice that the cockpit isn't gigantic because when we're on passage, it's not hard to move around in here and you can kind of brace yourself across the way. If it was a really large cockpit, that would be hard for me. Not so hard for you. Yeah. We also have one electric winch on board. That's pretty nice to have, and it controls our main halyard and main furling line. So that's something that we didn't have to have, but it's turned out to be really nice to have.
The electric winch is obviously for handling the mainsail. It's great, but it's also a nice utility winch. So we use it to haul somebody up the mast, to do work at the top of the mast. If we are feeling exceptionally lazy, we'll use it to hoist the dinghy up on the davit so that we don't actually have to turn a winch. We just have to exercise our muscles in our finger.
Yeah.
Ow! So tired. We had this arch built a couple of years after we bought the boat. We had it built in Bellingham in the Pacific Northwest, and we had a couple of goals for the arch. One was we wanted an easy way to be able to lift the dinghy up out of the water for storage at night and for actually carrying behind the boat when we're in protected waters with a good forecast. And then the other thing we wanted to do was have a good location for our solar panels. So we wanted enough area to be able to have a lot of power from the panels, and we wanted a spot to ensure that the panels wouldn't get shading from the mast and from the rigging as much as that's possible. So we have 2 panels, and each of them are nominally 360 watts. So it's 720 watts in total. And that has proven to be more than enough to run the entire boat.
The things that we like about the solar is that there are no moving parts. So once we've installed it and everything's all hooked up, we just make power when the sun's out, and that is amazing. It's really super cool.
Yeah, especially down here in Mexico, there's constant sun.
Yeah.
Too much even. When we were shopping for boats, one of the things that was important to us was the sailing characteristics of the boat, but then also the gear for handling all the various sails. And this particular boat has an in-boom furler. It's a Schaefer furler, and we were fairly suspicious of it when we originally bought the boat. We wanted a traditional main, and the in-boom furler seemed like a reasonable compromise, because it's a little bit more complicated than traditional slab reefing, but if something does happen to the system, at least you can still pull the sail down manually. And so after having lived with the boom for a number of years now, we've removed all our reservations. It is just
love it.
fantastic
Yeah.
piece of gear. It's been 100% reliable, and we found that when we're in areas with light wind, we actually sail more. Because it's easy to get the main up, it's easy to get the main down. So instead of just motoring somewhere, we'll actually see if we can sail, even if the wind is light.
Yeah. And the other thing that's really cool is that it is, you have an infinite number of reef points, and so we just reef to, I guess it's not infinite, but we reef to the batten, and I don't know how many battens. Six battens, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we can just suck the sail down, and so we can make it as big as it can be, or as small as we want it to be, which is really, really nice. And one of the things with this type of in-boom furling is it has this articulating mast track, and so we're able to reef at any point of sail. I think that's really handy, especially for when you're offshore, short-handed.
That's right.
You know, we can do it ourselves. Like if Mike's sleeping and I need to reef, I can do that, or vice versa.
Yeah, and do it all from the cockpit
cockpit
as well, which is again a nice confidence builder and a feeling of safety, at least when you're offshore.
So another piece of equipment that we installed that we think is great for cruising is a whisker pole. This thing is like a game changer for downwind sailing in seas when maybe you have lighter wind or maybe you have stronger wind, but the boat's moving around. You don't get all of that whook, whook, whook of the jib.
The sail
And
filling.
the sail filling and then getting collapsing and filling. So this thing has been fantastic, and I would say that this is one of the pieces of equipment on the boat that I wouldn't want to do without for a long passage.
One of the things that we really like about this boat and Taswells in general is just the way that they're built. But it goes beyond just the thickness of the fiberglass. All of the gear on the boat is oversized, from the winches to the chain plates to the rigging. It's a really solid boat that gives you a good feeling of confidence when you're out sailing in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. And we looked at a lot of boats when we were shopping, and it's hard because it's hard to know which is the right boat. And I don't know, for us, I think that we were just really, really lucky to end up with this boat. I mean, we did our homework, but I don't know, we didn't realize how good of a sailing boat she is and how strong she was or is, and I don't know, we just feel really lucky. She's treated us well and kept us safe, and we've had lots of good times.
For sure.
Yep.
And more to come.
Yeah, more to come.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming aboard and showing her off.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing her to everybody out there.
Yeah.
I would say that if there were one improvement we could make to the boat, it would probably be to install a racing stripe.
Yes.
That's a good answer. Regulation size is important. So
Yeah, of course. That goes without saying.
We'll get the details from you.
yeah, thanks. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.